And I get to see this. I'm gonna try to maintain my composure, not use vulgar terminology to describe the stupidity that I deal with. Uh, and the part of that just, listen, what they're doing is very foul, but there's a sense of comicalness that's just surreal. They're like clowns, like contracted clowns. What you're seeing here is a show that came out in 2019. Oh, or I saw it in 2019. I don't know if it came out. I think it looks like it came out in 2019, but I think 2019 that's where I saw it. And let's be honest. I thought this show was gonna be like sexual. It's sexual, but there's no like sex scene. And I'm not perfect. Listen, I am, I do like. Well, let me just say this. I watch adult content, and please, I'm gonna be honest and transparent. I thought that this was gonna be a show where there's gonna be like a lot of sex scenes and things like that, and definitely not. And ended up not being what I expected. It was not, did not end up getting the job done because there's no sex scene. It's actually, so I stopped watching it. But initially, I thought it was, based on what you're saying here, right? This is obviously some act. Well, the show itself is about like some students that are part-time students, but also do some like escort on the side. So they're prostitutes and they also are students. Clearly, I understand that these people are adults playing underage, right? I'm clearly understanding this. Like this always is. It's not always, but it's been the case in a lot of movies where adults play teenage kids, and they're not teenage kids, but they are playing teenage kids, right? And let me just say how stupid the things are. I hope you can capture the noise campaign that's around me, so you can see the stupidity that's just in my ecosystem. Now, at first, initially, when I was looking at the story, it's like, oh, this is gonna be some sex scenes and whatnot, and I expected that. So I was thinking that I was gonna go there, and it didn't go there, and I ended up not. I stopped watching that because I was like, okay, this is not. It's not that. This is actually. There's no actual sex scene. So I stopped watching that. Now, never ended up going there because of the lack of that. What they're doing here, they're combining it to, in my mind, they're making me think of a show that you probably saw a video made of it not too long ago. On Netflix, there's a new show. Well, not a new show, a old movie that came back on Netflix like a few months ago. It's a movie called 13 that came out in 2001 or 2002, around that time. I was actually around the same age, 13, 14. And when I made a video about it because they started manipulating me, perceiving these actual teenage kids in this way, the way they manipulate me today. But when that movie came out, I was a teenage kid like them. So what they're doing right now, they're doing these things where they're morphing things together. Tell me I should be accepting of how they manipulate me when I saw the movie 13 with this actress who actually are children. When I was a child, we're the same age today. Well, we've always been the same age. But the way they made me perceive that movie at that time, and say, you see, if you compare it to what you're saying here, is the same. We're matching, we're mapping. Not, well, because when I see this thing, you make me perceive these children like adults, and these people here are actually young adults. So what you're doing is, when I look at teenage kids, you try to make me perceive them as young adults when they're not, when they're kids, to make me look at them in a sexual way. And then you making me think right now of a show where these young adults are being sexual, and combining these things together and make me subscribe to these things. And they're like, we're mapped there, we're matched there, because when you saw this show in 2019, you saw that in a sexual way, even though you ended up not being as sexual as you thought. But when you go back to the movie 13, The way we made you perceive the movie that came out in 2001 is matching to that. When the truth is just make me look at these kids in the movie from the movie 13 as if they're like adults and make me perceive them like that. That's why you hear this noise campaign that's all supposed to be theatric. I hope you hear the bike. It's supposed to make me subscribe to this. And then the clowns around here, from this childlike retards, like, yeah, we're adults, using their infantile retardation to make me subscribe to how they play my brain. Some actual child, like, we're 13. That this show that you're seeing here is validation that these people are mentally retarded, I think. And playing my brain with these mental battles that they forced me to experience, because when they were messing with me with the movie that came out on Netflix a few months ago, that actually didn't came out. It's an old movie that came back on Netflix, or came on Netflix. The movie came out in 2001. It came on Netflix last month or so. When I saw that, I saw the cover. They started stimulating me and made me perceive these kids in the movie who are adults because they're my age in this way, and try to convince me that, you see, we're matching because the way you looked at these young adults in this fashion matches what the way we're now making you look at these teenage kids, young teenage kids, and having their dog bark. The ecosystem is like full of clowns around here. And then immediately you hear this childlike clowns that were being groomed to play rape victims and tell me, you raped me. They tell me this is what they call matching, mining, and mapping. They're just merging things in my brain, manipulating my brain, altering my brain, and try to make rationalization of that nature. And then sending some 13-year-old retard try to make me subscribe to that, and then bringing up the fact that the movie was just trash. That's because you play with my brain to perceive these kids in these ways, and this is actually young adults. And so when you play with my brain, you try to make these kids look more like adults, and then you bring this actually young adult and try to play my brain. This young adult that play a show where they're supposed to be sexualized, and then why not? And it wasn't really that sexualized. It looked like it was about to go there, but it was not really like that. So it ended up just like not even go there. It's like they try to find ways to piece things together and manipulate things to make me subscribe to this persona. And the sad part is this, and the name of the show, this is what I was wondering. They're calling each other, oh, we're your babies. We're your baby. I was like, what the F is that? I was like, you're my baby. And I was like, oh, you try like my lover's baby, like my babies? No, they talk about this some little retarded child, teenage retards. They'll talk about the Italian show here. This kid is mentally retarded. And they were making me think like yesterday or a few days ago, I went back some chicken and some like 16, 17-year-old teenager there. And they tried to make me think, you see, it's matched. It was like, it's disgusting. And you hear the honking because they try to make me imagine things. I have my body cam for a reason. You'll see that. Unfortunately, I'll probably have to blur it. To try to make me accept these things and try to make me think, as map, you see, this like young adult, like 19, 20-year-old here. In this show where they're supposed to play prostitutes / students. And then sending these clowns coming as again with maps with this infantile way of closure. These clowns are retarded. Now, listen, for me, it's just, I understand, right? If this whole ecosystem plays along with this retardation, that retardation turns into reality. But I'm going to put that retardation in their faces. And then when this retard comes, especially if I have my body cam, you're welcome to come through. Bunch of clowns. And they try to mess with me. It's like, oh, but they were young adults. It's like, I mean, I've seen young adults in sexual, ways. It's not, especially when I was younger. I'm talking about, like, I'm an early 30. At that point, I can still look at maybe like. But and let me just be honest, didn't end up happening here. It was not actually that sexual. It was like, nah, actually, I'm okay. Passed it on it. It ended up not being what I thought. So these clowns are still using that. It's like, yeah, we're your babies. On something that ended up not even work out in that way. Well, these retards are like some 13-year-old retarded kids. I'm sorry for using that word. I don't know what else to call it. These clowns will walk around me. It's like, look at this. That's why, for me, they're going to push the stupidity. I'll make sure I put that in their faces. Target just stay strong. In my brain, they just try to create mental battles and whatnot. It's like, no, I know what you guys try to do. And they try to make me think, it's like, yeah, but they look like young adults, okay? And I thought this was going to be something going sexual. Not at all. But I'm talking to people who are literally utilizing this level of stupidity and having children who are actually children tell me they got raped and think that this is their validation for the persona and for this stupidity. Now, I can't wait for the day I meet these clowns in person. I know that they're looking for how to put things together. I'm going to make sure I document all the retardation. So when we get to see each other, I can see the level of retardation we're dealing with here. I can make sure stay strong.